But let's go ahead and begin Matthew 25 this morning. Welcome to all you who are watching with us today. We've got a beautiful day. Soon, I'm sure, to be disrupted by a thunderstorm. It's just that time of year, isn't it? So Matthew 25 continues Jesus' really last words. We talked last week about the signs of the end of the age, and at the end of 25, or at the end of 24, verse 36. Jesus says, "No one knows about that day or hour, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father." I just want to ask for a moment, when you start thinking about Jesus is God, Jesus on earth, how is it that you figure that Jesus does not know when the end of time is? What do you think about that?
I think when Jesus was on earth, he set aside at least portions of his glory. And part of it was omniscient knowledge. I mean, that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, so Philippians 2. Look at Philippians 2 just a minute. Philippians 2 verse 6. That's a prayer that Paul has, but Philippians 2:6. In fact, back up to 5, it says, "Your attitude should be the same as that of Jesus Christ, who being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be grasped, but made himself nothing, taking the very nature of a servant. Being made in human likeness and being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient to death, even death on a cross." There's a term that I'm looking for, and the term is emptied himself. Does anybody have that version? Anybody have that? What do you have there? Verse 7.
Verse 7, "But emptied himself by taking the form of a servant."
Emptied himself. And my version says, "but made himself nothing."
But the New American Standard uses the word empty.
Emptied? So there are plenty who interpret that as being just what exactly you said, Rick. That in a very real way, Jesus became or gave up some of his knowledge as king, as God, in coming to earth. Okay. Now, with that, Jesus goes on in 25, because there's all this concern that people have expressed, that the people around him expressed, wanting to know when the end of time would come. Okay. And Jesus is pretty clear when he says nobody. But then he starts talking a little bit about the end of Jerusalem, which we talked about last week, as well as this coming period of tribulation, whenever that might be. And they're still kind of wondering, what is this all about? So that Jesus uses a number of parables to describe and give them some sort of help in dealing with what is coming. Chapter 25, if someone would read for me the first 13 verses, that my Bible has this titled, "The Parable of the 10 Virgins."
"Then the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish, and 5 were wise. be enough for us and for you, go rather to the dealers and buy it for yourselves. And while they were gone to buy, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went with him to the marriage feast, and the door was shut. Afterward, the other virgins came also, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered, Truly I say to you, I do not know you. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour.
So just a parable here about the coming of Christ and a warning. So I read just a little bit about weddings and wedding customs in the early century, and with that particular group of people. And what I read that I thought was interesting was that evidently the bride, the night of the wedding, she's at her parents' house, and the bridegroom doesn't say when he's coming. He just kind of picks a time when he's going to show up, goes in, grabs the girl, they say some nice things about them, you're married now, and then they go back to his house and have a big party. Anybody know any more about that? Okay, I mean, I read something relatively brief about it. You know, it sounds like a concept, quite honestly, wouldn't go over here. But that's kind of what I got from it. So, you know, surprise, surprise. So you got these 10 virgins who I assume are kind of like the 10 attendants that we have now at weddings, okay? They're kind of hanging around. And honest to goodness, they don't know when he's going to get there. They don't know when. And there's 5 of them that have taken it very seriously. They don't know, and so they're prepared to carry a little extra oil, all right? So the bridegroom shows up, and you got 5 that see right there on the spot, oh no, we did not prepare. We don't have enough. And so there at midnight, they get told, well, just go down to the store and buy some. Now, I don't know how it was then, I don't know how it is right now. At midnight, it'd be pretty tough and told home to go get some oil. Would y'all agree? I'm predicting it was kind of that way back then. In other words, they ain't any oil that they're going to go get. They're just out of luck. So when they do finally come back and drag into the party, I'm assuming they don't have their lamps. I'm assuming they don't have their act together. And by what I read in the scripture, they're told to take a hike. Don't y'all get out of that? All right. The parable of the talents. Somebody want to read that one? Chapter 4, verse 14. 14 through 30. Somebody want to read that one? Please, please, please.
Again, the kingdom of heaven can be illustrated by the story of a man going on a long trip. He called together his servants and entrusted his money to them while he was gone. He gave 5 bags of silver to one, 2 bags of silver to another, and 1 bag of silver to the last, dividing it in proportion to their abilities. He then left on his trip. The servant who received the 5 bags of silver began to invest the money and earned 5 more. The servant with 2 bags of silver also went to work and earned 2 more. But the servant who received the 1 bag of silver dug a hole in the ground and hid his master's money. After a long time, their master returned from his trip and called them to give an account of how they had used his money. The servant to whom he had entrusted the 5 bags of silver came forward with 5 more and said, Master, you gave me 5 bags of silver to invest, and I have earned 5 more. The master was full of praise. Well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful in handling this small amount, so now I will give you many more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together. The servant who had received the 2 bags of silver came forward and said, Master, you gave me 2 bags of silver to invest, and I earned 2 more. The master said, Well done, my good and faithful servant. You've been faithful in handling this small amount, so now I will give you many more responsibilities. Let's celebrate together. Then the servant with the 1 bag of silver came and said, Master, I knew you were a harsh man, harvesting crops you didn't plant and gathering crops you didn't cultivate. I was afraid I would lose your money, so I hid it in the earth. Look, here's your money back. But the master replied, You wicked and lazy servant. If you knew I harvested crops that I didn't plant and gathered crops I didn't cultivate, why didn't you deposit my money in the bank? At least I could have gotten some interest on it. Then he ordered, take the money from the servant, give it to the one with the 10 bags of silver. To those who use well what they are given, even more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But from those who do nothing, even what little they have will be taken away. Now throw this useless servant into outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Okay. You want to give the summary of that? So we got three guys working for evidently a fellow that's pretty wealthy, right? And I don't know how much money this is, but what I read was it was a whole lot of money. Like in today's world, he gave 1 million, gave another couple million, gave another like 5 million. I mean, it's a lot of money. But he gives that to these people, kind of expecting that they're going to take care of it, okay? And when he comes back, the guy that he gave a lot to, well, he made a lot. The guy that he'd given a little less to, he'd made a lot. But the guy that he'd given the least amount to had done nothing whatsoever with it, okay? I think it's pretty harsh on that guy, don't you? Seems pretty harsh to me. I mean, and at the tail end of it, verse 30 is really shocking. Jesus says, and throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Now, let me just tell you, when I read this thing through, the first time I read it through, I'm thinking, you know, the poor guy, he starts out, he don't have a whole lot of sense anyhow. This guy's, he's talentless. You know, Jesus gave the other guys, gave him a bunch of stuff. He gave this guy one thing. This poor little guy who is uneducated, hadn't been taught anything in his life. He's absolutely scared to death. And he just goes buries it because I don't want to lose it. I've lost everything else in my life. I don't want to lose this. And then Jesus comes along and really tongue lashes him and basically kicks him out. It looks kind of like a hellish ending for him. Y'all get that out of that story? Let's try to do better than that, okay? I think I've given you the story that's probably not the story. Okay, before we go back to it, get your little outline I gave you. This outline is a little less thoughtful than some that I've given you. Okay, I've given you plenty of room to make notes and add your little pearls to it. The first thing is 4 words, and I left out one. Okay, the 4 things that I think Jesus is trying to teach here: preparation, anticipation, implementation, persistence, and I left out, if you got a pen, you need to write this in there, accountability. There's some accountability here, okay? I got to write it on mine, accountability. I got that from the sermon this morning, by the way. But it was also in a commentary I read, so I think Jerry's probably right. Okay, preparation. What is entailed in preparation? What's entailed in preparation for Jesus coming?
Knowing what to do and doing it.
That's right, Lane. How much you know what to do and do it? How might you prepare?
Going by the Bible. Being baptized.
Study,
What?
study, read.
Study?
You've got to know the master. The kicker verse for me in the parable with the gold was the servant. He said, I knew you were a hard man. He had a different perception of the master than the other servants.
You're way ahead of me.
Sorry.
That's the story of my life.
Anticipation. Who sang that song? Carly Simon, thank you.
That's right.
we try to have a Renaissance class here where we cover art, music, and all of it, okay? When you anticipate something, part of anticipation is, there's preparation that you build into that, isn't it? Implementation, what do I mean by implementation?
Putting into practice your anticipation.
Yeah, it's not, oh, I know it's coming, it's actually doing, right? Actually doing. The implementation here, we didn't read that, Jerry covered that, that's the sheep and the goats thing. I think that's pretty much a review of implementation. What kind of implementation did you do? And then this other word, persistence. What's the idea of persistence here?
Keeping on.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping on.
Keeping on. Built into persistence is the idea of patience, right? Steadfastness, long suffering. All those things are built into this idea of persistence. And finally, accountability. And accountability, again, Jerry covered that this morning, I think. A recognition that there is accountability. What we do, we will account for. Now that's not, I'm not teaching works righteousness here. I'm trying not to teach that. But I really like, a long time ago, a professor there at Harding, Dr. Oster, he taught me that we are judged by works. We're judged, how do you put that? Judged by works, saved by grace. I thought that was pretty interesting. I got to write that up here. Judged by works, saved by grace. What do you think of that? We talking out both sides of our mouth there?
You can't do enough works, but grace gets you into heaven. God's grace.
I would agree with that. Where does works come in?
Living out your faith. Living out your faith.
Living out your faith. How do you know an apple's an apple?
Take a bite.
Take a bite. Red, tastes like an apple, acts like an apple. You know? How you know a duck's a duck?
Quacks.
It quacks. Right. You know, just you're judged by your quack. Okay. You're saved by your grace. See what you are. See how you acted. I've always found that useful because I really think that in my understanding of grace, it's always been somewhat hard for me to reconcile my need to do good works, okay, and where that fits into my righteousness, where that fits into my salvation. Okay, I think those are hard concepts for us, and for me, that's just kind of been. It's been something that's been useful for me. Maybe it won't be for you, but like I say, it is for me.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It's going back to the 10 virgins, and it's always bothered me. Why didn't the 5 virgins that had extra oil share with the other 5 virgins?
They hadn't been to kindergarten yet.
Pardon?
I said they hadn't been to kindergarten yet.
It just always bothered me that they were taught to share and help each other out, and yet I understand the
Yeah.
underlying story, the purpose of it.
Yeah.
But why, if I'd been a virgin with extra oil, I think I would have shared.
What if it wasn't extra? What if it wasn't extra? What if it was what they needed? What if it wasn't extra? What if they didn't have any extra? I don't know.
I think
They had enough to get them through.
Well, said they woke them up right at the last minute, so they all woke up. Maybe they, like you said, maybe they didn't have enough.
Well.
The oil is their faith. The oil is representative of
I'm sure it.
their faith that makes, you know, their lamp burn, their light shine. I can share my faith with someone, but I can't give them my faith. I can't make them have faith. That's gotta come on their own.
Well, I wrote, my question that I had about it was last minute decisions. How do last minute decisions work into your preparation for Jesus to come? Um,
Steve, I don't think that time is not the essence of this, because the virgins didn't know when the bridegroom's coming. The servants didn't know when the master was coming back. Time is not the issue here, it's being prepared and doing your actions accordingly.
It is being prepared for the long haul, isn't
It
it?
is, exactly, it is the long haul.
For the unknown haul.
You don't know.
You just don't know. You just don't know. Last minute decisions, I wrote that down, these are just thoughts that I've had, okay? I don't think that was a good thought, because I think Skip's exactly right. I don't think we're talking about last minute decisions. I will say this, I think you could make out of this parable, the 10, they figure out they're gonna run out of oil at the last minute. And guess what? The store's closed.
But doesn't the Bible also say the first shall be last and the last shall be first?
I think so, but I think that's got nothing to do with this.
I think you should
But
trust
good
your
try.
gut feeling.
Huh?
I think you should trust your gut feeling if you have it and you need to do something. Because a lot of the times that comes from God telling you. You know, like if you have a relationship with
I
God.
guess I'm all into brain-informed gut decisions.
Well, sure. But that's like, you know, your mind and your gut, like all that's connected.
It is. It is.
And so,
But there are people, I think, who have to be careful about relying always on gut decisions, because it is connected to your brain. They use your brain and not just your gut.
yes. And I do think there's also a difference between just knowing the Bible and having a relationship with God.
Yes.
Also. So I think that's important when you're talking about all of these things, like being prepared and everything, and just thinking you just know the Bible and that's being prepared versus actually focusing on your relationship and conversations.
Let's go to something that's a little more interesting to me.
Let's-
Yeah, excuse me.
Can I just make a quick comment about that? I know a lot of people, as far as, instead of saying making last minute decisions, instead of being prepared to make a decision on something, they just make spur of the moment decisions. And that's, to me, that's not being prepared for something. They see something, they want it,
Yes.
you know, they just decide right then and there without being prepared, of either the consequences or whatever. And that's their decision whether to do something or to not to do something. They don't think it through.
Absolutely.
And maybe that could fall into that category.
Thank you for that.
If I can answer Margaret's question to
Yeah.
sideline
Please do,
again.
Bob. I didn't.
Gotta remember, it's a parable. It's not real people. This is not people that Christ is encountering that says, hey, you know those people are, it's a story. The whole point of his story is to prepare. The point of his story is not that as Christians we share everything, it's you gotta prepare, because if you don't prepare, you're gonna miss out. And by the time you back up and go find oil or whatever it is to prepare, it's too late.
Can I say, part of your point is that parables, we can sometimes try to bring too much from a parable?
Yes,
That
very
maybe
much
isn't
so,
necessary.
yeah.
All right, let's do that, let's try to do that some then, okay? Let's try to bring more than is there. My third point, the unfair distribution of talents. I got a real problem with some people being given 10, some people being given 5, and this poor little guy is just given 1. You got a problem with that?
No, he's not teaching socialism.
Say what?
He's not teaching socialism.
No, this is not, there's nothing socially, it's socially awkward. This is not right. This is sure not what
Wait.
Frederick Engels would have been into. Go ahead.
Wait.
Yeah.
You know absolutely nothing about these people except what the story tells you is they were given things, period. That's all you know about them. You know nothing about their abilities.
Actually,
You know nothing, at the time that it is given, you know nothing about them. And so you don't know why each was chosen to be given what they were given, because you don't know.
well, let's just see about that. Where does it say, then each was given they were given according to their, am I remembering
Yeah,
something that's not there?
15.
According to his ability, it's in verse 15.
They were given talents according to their abilities.
What were their abilities?
I was not, you were talking about talents, I wasn't talking about abilities, okay? What I'm trying to say is, it seems to me that the talents that they were given according to their abilities. Now, would you all say that people have different abilities? Is that fair to say?
Different IQs.
Thank you very much.
It's
That sounds like straight from the president to me. But it's mostly about low IQ people, but anyway, go ahead. Yes?
Well, but you can go back to the same parable of the guy that hired people at different times. It's
Yeah.
his money, he can do whatever he wants with it.
Yes, I have thought about that parable, and with this passage, I'm trying not to. Because it seems a little confusing, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
I think this parable is a lesson in using whatever you have, and it acknowledges the fact that in this world, there are people with more abilities, some abilities, and few abilities. And now, that's just life. Why God made it that way is, God would probably say, the evil in the world has created situations where
The
some people
distribution
have-
isn't just the same.
Yes, but you need to understand as a child of God that whether you have many abilities or if you have many abilities, God expects you to use them to do a lot. If you have few abilities, God still expects you to do what you can, not go hide it and sit in a corner.
It's like being amazing at one thing, or like being pretty good at a lot of different things.
Right?
Perhaps he misjudged the ability of the one that got one talent.
You think Jesus messed up here? Is that what you're saying? That's a pretty rough place. I wouldn't be there, Ray.
It's not Jesus.
Okay.
It's the
It's the man in the parable. Okay, all right. Yeah, Debbie.
So I don't know if y'all already said this or not, but the guy with the one talent, he was wrong on more than one count.
Whoa, wait just a minute. Don't get ahead of me, all right? I feel it coming. You got a comment to make.
Okay.
Well, hold it just a second. You read ahead because the next point is use what you have, all right? And I think that is a lesson we can get. Now let's go to the fifth point that Debbie has looked ahead on, okay? Which is knowing Jesus is following Jesus. To know Jesus is to follow Jesus. Now what do I mean by that from this parable? Go ahead, Debbie.
I was still thinking about the man with the one talent. I'm
Yeah,
not sure I
go ahead
can
and make the point, and I'm going to tell you why you're right.
Well, right off the bat,
he says, I know you're a hard man, and he basically said, I know you.
But
gave-
does he?
Exactly, I don't know the truth of either of them, however, I know what was said.
All right.
And he basically said, I knew you were a hard man, and I knew you reaped where you did not sow. And then when the guy comes back, says, oh really, you know that I reap where I don't sow? He called him a wicked man and slothful. So he had more than one thing going on. And yes, it is unfair that there's so much unfairness, which means to those of us who do have an ability or a resource, it's up to our responsibility to be good judges, be wise, share what we have. You know,
You think,
I don't know.
so look here, I'm going to equate Jesus with the wealthy person here, okay?
With the wealthy person.
So having said that, do you think Jesus has a humor?
Yes.
You ever think Jesus is funny?
Oh, yeah.
You ever think he looks at his disciples and says, God, why? Couldn't you give me somebody that had a little more, you know? So when Jesus looks at this guy, okay, with the one talent, who, quote, knows how God is, knows how Jesus is, what does he know about? What does he know about God here? What does this guy, what does he say? What does he know about God? God, I know you are
A hard man.
a hard man. So what would a hard man do? What would a hard man do?
Not listen to suggestions.
No, he wouldn't listen to suggestions, but
No
let's
grace.
just say, let's say you took that gift that you had and went out and used it somehow or another. The stock market went down, okay, and you lost some money. What do you think that hard man's gonna do to you?
It'll be hard on him.
It's gonna be pretty rough on you, okay? Yeah. So Jesus, with his humor, looks at this guy and he says, I know, you know, that I go out and harvest where you haven't even planted. You think I'm some sort of idiot. You'll see the humor there? Like, none of you are laughing. You see that question though? You see Jesus ask him that question? Where is
I
it?
see it more as sarcasm.
Sarcasm is exactly what it is, okay? Sarcasm, for some of us, is a type of humor, okay? Sarcasm too harsh a word?
Well, you know, it's like our parents say to us, oh really? You knew what I was gonna do, huh?
Yeah. His master replied, you wicked, lazy servant. So you knew, let me add to that. So you think you know that I harvest where I have not sown, and gather where I have not scattered seed. Now, who's doing just for a moment, who's doing the sowing and who's doing the scattering here? Well, the master's implying that he does it, but who was supposed to be doing it?
Servants.
The servants were supposed to do it. They didn't do it. And then he makes this harsh judgment on him.
Do you think it was like he'd already given him 10 chances?
I don't know.
I mean, he could have.
I think it could be like he had been giving him hundreds of years of chances. Ever since he talked to Moses and said, Moses, through you, all the earth is going to be blessed. And you've got all these Moses followers that follow along that have this gift of grace. And guess what they have done with it? Do you think they've gone out and sowed it where it needed to be sowed? Hey, I don't want to be reading Bob more than what's in this parable either. But it sure sounds like he's implicating the people of God right here, okay? It sure looks to me like he's implicating them who have been given a gift, okay? And they have simply hid it. They have not used that gift to nurture and to help the rest of the world. They just really just kept it to themselves. What do you think?
I think that's good.
Have you heard that? I made it up last night.
I
Have
think
you heard
it's a bit of a, you know, the fear of the Jews in presenting, you know, the truth to the Gentiles.
The fear of the Jews, or just the failure. In fact, sometimes it's a refusal.
Yeah.
We're not gonna share what we have. We're not gonna share what we have.
Steve?
Yeah.
To me, this is, there's no excuse. You've got no excuse. So if you come back and say, limited ability, I don't understand, whatever you might use as
Yeah.
an excuse.
Yeah.
You don't have one. And I think we do that too.
So this is where, Debbie, I put in knowing Jesus is following Jesus. Because I think that a real key point to us being everything we can be in Jesus is, first of all, knowing who he is and the fact that he cares deeply for us. He cares for us, okay? If we start off believing that he loves us, we have that assurance, okay? It allows us to do so much more. To me, it's so much like just an imagination. If you know that you're going to win the war, wouldn't every battle be easier? Wouldn't every battle be easier if you know that you're going to win? And then, the farmer in me, point, crop sharing for Jesus. Crop sharing for Jesus. We're just all a bunch of crop sharers. Never thought of it quite that way. We're all a bunch of crop sharers. We've all been given a little piece of land. We've all been given some seed. We've all been given a little fertilizer, okay? We got to go out and plant it. He's counting on us, okay? And if we're not good sharecroppers, we're sure not going to get our part. All right, and then I put down, just in case we had time, which I hope we don't, this idea of sheep and goats and what I call the big event. I believe that there will be a judgment. And I believe the judgment will occur at a point in time. And I do believe that we will stand before Jesus. And I do believe when Paul says we will stand before him with fear and trembling, I think that's all very real. And I think right there we will appeal to the grace of Jesus, who we believe we are a part of. And I think there we will be saved. Okay. Not everybody believes that, but I believe that. I believe it's a point in time. It's a future time. But with that, I believe when we die, I think we have some existence that I can't define that waits for that time when Jesus comes back. Okay. And until then, I don't see us floating off into heaven or floating anywhere. I see us dead. Thank God for resurrection. Okay. Anybody else have anything?
I still don't understand why it's unfair. You're gonna have to help me with that one.
I believe in the inalienable rights that we all should know that we were created equal. But I believe that part of the fall entailed us not all being equal in talent, and in so many things. There are so many of us that are born wealthy, there's some of us that are born poor, there's some of us that are born to good parents, there are others that are born to bad parents, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't think that was God's plan. I think that's how it is because sin entered the world. Is that okay? And with that, life is, some people are able to accept more talent than others because they're able to do with more than what some others aren't. Okay.
We don't all get the same, but we're held accountable to what we have.
I fully
Using it.
believe that. And for those of you like myself who think you've been given a whole lot of talent, be really careful. Could be that judgment might be a little stricter for you.
That's not speaking to a person's inherent value.
That's right.
I think that's.
Has nothing to do with inherent value. Nothing whatsoever. Thank you for that correction of what some people may have assumed I said, which I did not. Yes.
We tend,
Hey, hang on just a
We tend
minute.
to
He's got
equate
to argue with his wife. Go ahead. Go.
no, I was just gonna say, we tend to equate our gifts, talents, abilities with value.
With our worth.
That's not with our work. That's not what it
Yes.
is. I was not arguing, I was clarifying.
I'd make another social, here's another social statement I'll make, okay? We tend oftentimes to equate what we have financially with how big a brain we have. And oftentimes that's the absolute opposite.
Often.
And that goes to what I was gonna say about the first two, the one that got the 5 and the one that, those two, they are given the exact same praise.
Mhm.
So it wasn't quantity,
Mhm.
it was they used what they had.
Yes.
And I think that, if we wanna look at this from a positive
Mhm.
point of view, it's that use what you've been given. It doesn't matter how much or how little, just use what you've been given. But if you're just gonna do nothing with it, that's when you're gonna be in trouble.
I think that's the point.
Very good.
I think that's, what you
Yeah.
said, what you're talking about, that being given the exact same praise, but at the end, to the one with the most was given the.
Well, yeah.
That occurred to me while he was saying that, but I didn't think that was a good time to rebut anything that he said because the gist of it I thought was right on.
I
Okay?
agree.
Exclude that remark from the record.
Expunge it.
Yeah, Debbie.
So, to me, another little bitty embedded lesson there is, I'm one of 6 kids, and you remember your parents lining you up and giving you instructions, and occasionally you would say, well, that's not fair, I wanna do what they're doing, or no, I get that. And I think part of the lesson is, you've been given what you've been given, and that's your responsibility, and you shouldn't really worry a whole much about the other people's responsibilities and what they're doing. It's none of your business.
You are obviously an older or a younger child, clearly not in the middle.
I'm number 2 of 6.
You're close to one. Yeah, Bob.
He acts like it.
So, still going back to the talents, like Ellie was going there, saying, if you got a lot of stuff, use it, you're gonna get a lot of reward, it's gonna be great, awesome.
Yeah.
So that works for 5 and 2, but I come back down to the 1, and then, okay, they buried it in the dirt, they didn't do anything, and they got chewed for it and actually had to take it away, but it's not that they had no hope.
Yeah.
And I go back on, if you should have put my money on deposit with the banker so that when I return, I would have received it back with interest. So I guess I kind of take that, and maybe I'm wrong, but what I'm taking that with is, there was a way to do at least a minimum amount and be okay.
You should have
If you
done
had
something.
just not hidden it,
You
if
should have
just
done
had it out,
something.
done something, you'd have been okay.
Yeah.
May not have got as much praise as the other ones, but like, you should have done something.
I like it.
And you shouldn't tell me, the master, that you know who I am when you don't.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, he's blaming the master for it, right?
Yeah.
And that's,
That's really bad.
yeah.
Yeah, that's, you're gonna get a raise that day, don't you?
It wasn't my fault.
Yeah, yeah.
Not my
You were
fault.
the problem.
It's you, man.
you were the problem, there's the door, whatever.
He was afraid of failure. And I think Jesus is trying to show that we need to show some confidence in who we are. And it makes me think about studying about what our gifts are and us trying to encourage each other to use what we see as your gift. And I think some people can't see that gift within, or gifts within themselves. This one was afraid. He was afraid of what the master would do, so he went and hid what he had.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know how that plays out in trying to be brave or be confident and secure, but I guess it's all comes down to knowing the master better, because all he could see was the negative side of the master.
Knowing Jesus would give us confidence.
I would think it would give them, and hope, like someone said.
Yeah, I think knowing Jesus ought to give us confidence. Like I say, knowing Jesus, having a relationship with Jesus such that we know what the end game is. It helps us through all those other times. I truly believe that.
And being in relationship with each other, we can encourage each other to maybe tell others what their gifts, what we see as their gifts. So I think sometimes we don't realize some of the gifts that we've been given unless someone points it out to us. At least that's, not that people have pointed out things to me, but I see gifts in other people and want to say, that's a real talent that you have, and they don't realize it. So.
Okay, we're going to end early. Next week is chapter 26. Chapter 26 is a humdinger. I'm telling you, whoever it is that prepares this for us and puts our schedule together, whoever that might be, should have given us a couple of weeks on 26. 26 is a big old chapter with a whole lot in it. So I urge everybody here, read 26 before you get here. Okay? We're talking about Judas, the betrayal. We're talking about the Last Supper. We're talking about the trial. We're talking about everything pre-crucifixion, basically. Okay? All right, y'all have a great week. Love all of you. Everybody be a good crop sharer.